Maison to Potager, our dream. Over 10 years in the making, this is the tale of how we've come to own this house, get our visas, and how we plan not to only survive, but to prosper living in a different country. We have no renovation experience, but we are aiming for a more self-sufficient, simple life.
So, we're nearly 40.
Excuse me?
Me and Nathan, we met back in 2015. And as we mentioned in episode 1, my mum has been in France for some time. Ever since me and Nathan been together, I have been taking him to France. We both fell in love with the lifestyle. It's quieter, simpler, and let's be honest, the wine's a hell of a lot cheaper.
It's such a slower pace of life out there. We won't miss the carnage of fighting for a parking space outside of our home. In France, it's open, the air's so fresh, and everything just feels quiet.
Peaceful, isn't it?
Very peaceful.
No one seems to be rushing around.
And we joked around and we're saying, well, one day we'd just love to pack everything up and move across there. Here we are now, packing all our stuff up and moving across there.
Yeah.
It's cray-cray. Crazy. We don't use cray-cray. You had already set out a plan, like before me 10 years ago, to when you hit your 40th, you wanted to move to France. That was your dream, you know, and I fell into that. And one thing about us really pushing hard and, you know, wanting to get out of the rat race, and what helped us push us even further was the fact that when we bought Victor, our old camper van, where we could get out into the countryside and really escape and find those natural scenic views and be at one with nature.
Yeah, we discovered wild camping. We did the camper van ourselves, kitted it all out. It was a VW T25, built in the 80s. But we put an underslung water tank in there, underslung gas tank, it had a hot shower, a bit of toilet, solar panels on the roof, didn't we? Diesel heater, we had 5G internet bolted to the roof, so anywhere we went we had Wi-Fi.
Projector screen?
We had a projector screen, it was lovely. So it was posh wild camping. Wild camping just changed everything for us.
It really invigorated us to want to move to somewhere really rural and just not be around people.
Yeah, it really gave us a foundation to be like, yes, this is what we want. We do want a simpler life. So that's when we thought, you know, actually,
YOLO.
This dream of mine, which I thought of 10, 15 years ago when I first met Nathan, in all honesty, it was a bit of a pipe dream then. Never thought I'd actually get to the position that we'd actually be doing it.
We saw the house, we wanted the house, we signed for the house.
But we didn't quite have the money ready to pay for it. So we ended up selling everything. We sold our house, we sold our beloved Victor. I'd arranged for us to move on to RAF Waddington into the military accommodation. However, the timeline to getting one of them didn't quite fit in with us completing the house, so we actually ended up homeless. Luckily, our good friends Matt and Hayley came to the rescue.
Yes, it was very kind of them, and we can't thank them enough for the hospitality, taking us all in with our dogs as well. It was a massive, massive help.
Yeah, I'm not sure we could have done it without you guys.
Go follow them at Wanderers Lodge on Instagram.
Yeah, they've got an Instagram page. They're building their own house in Scotland. Very exciting. We'll link it somewhere so you can find it. Not only did they take us in though, they helped us with the clearing of our old house in Gainsborough. My workshop, which was an absolute mess. Bless her, Hayley came along a couple of days before, helped us clean, sort the garden out. They took in our poor house plants because they had nowhere to go. Huge help. Inheritance law in France, from what we're led to believe, it pretty much just goes down in succession. So someone dies, it either goes to the spouse or to their next of kin, the children. So our house, unfortunately, when John died, it went to his wife, who was still alive.
Yeah, it went through, I had to go to the judge, to the court, to be signed off, so the house could be sold by one of the children. Unfortunately, she passed away, which then reset everything. They had to divide all the estate out, etc. And that took a while too. So in total, from signing for it, it took us just about 2 years to actually get the keys in our hands.
But apart from that, the whole process of buying a house, it was actually quite smooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, we did everything online, signed for everything online, checked the contracts all online, handed the money over from here, and we actually, well, we didn't even have to do it. We could have had someone do it for us, but to pick the keys up, we had to go sign the contract at the notaire's office, which is quite a long, dull and boring presentation of a contract that you have to read.
But our contract for the house was literally about that thick, and this meeting in the notaire, as Nathan was saying, to collect the keys, they literally go through that page by page by page, and at the end you've all got to sign for it.
It is also recommended though that if you don't know French, have a translator there.
We needed visas, yeah, thanks Brexit, and we thought it was quite helpful if we got married.
So after 5 long years of just being engaged, we decided to get married. We had lots of postponements because of COVID, and we got fed up of cancelling and rearranging. So at one point we just said, no, forget it, we'll do it when we're in France.
But I think our friends got sick of us changing the dates as well.
Actually more helpful if we were married to support our visa applications. If we're married, we could be linked together, which when you apply for your visas, your application is linked.
So the start of this year, we got married.
Perfect. Already helping each other.
It was just me, Nathan, and our 2 mums. My mum, bless her, she flew over all the way from France, and this was the first time that our mothers had met.
Yeah, it was.
I pitched up in one car, you pitched up in the other, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. With regards to the visas, we both had to apply for 2 different visas. So I was applying for a working visa because, as I've mentioned many times before, but unfortunately I'm not old enough to retire. So I still need to work in France, so I applied for the professional libéral visa as an entrepreneur, which is basically just like being self-employed. Ben had to apply for a long stay visa, but it's like an inactive visa, which meant that he's not allowed to work out there. But he has to show that he can support himself for that year.
As I'm sure I've mentioned, I am in the RAF, so I get to clear my pension as soon as I leave after 22 years. So I just had to prove this in my visa application.
So Benjamin, tell the lovely people, those who might be wanting to know, how does somebody who may be in a similar situation, who is in the military or in the RAF, who's getting a pension, how can they successfully get an inactive visa?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Just what you provide?
I can't remember.
I'll do it for you then.
I'd have to get my folder up.
So Ben needed to show proof of income, he's got his gratuity, and also he'll receive his pension afterwards. I can't remember exactly the figure you need to have in total to support yourself for a year, but I think it's something like 30,000 euros, isn't it?
No, it's
around 30,000 euros that you need to have in your bank to be able to support yourself, which Ben exceeded that. And obviously he'll claim his pension, and he also has to sign something a piece of paper to the consulate, French consulate, to say that he's not going to work in France. He also needed to have private medical insurance, which we did through Fab French Insurance. We paid for it, I think it was about €1,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was €1,100. You could get cheaper ones, but these, I guarantee it's good enough for a visa.
Okay, let's go through Ben's visa checklist. Ben applied for the Visa de long séjour un titre de séjour visiteur. In other words, he applied for a long stay visa, which is also known as like an inactive visa. So Ben needed his declaration from the RAF to say that although he's currently still employed by the RAF, he will not be actively serving. That leads on to the fact that he has to sign a promise not to work while in France, which is called the Attestation sur l'honneur de ne pas exercer d'activité professionnelle en France. He needed private medical insurance, visa photos, photocopies of passport and our marriage certificate, proof of income, and 3 months worth of bank statements. Luckily, we also have a French bank account, so we could provide 3 months worth of that. We also needed proof of residence, acte de vente, which is the French house sale, and also we gave the electricity supply contract, the contrat de fourniture, and most importantly, print out the application form.
And for my application, so I'm working as an online tutor for English as a foreign language. I'm already doing this in the UK, so I've already got 12 months worth of business that I can survive off full time. But what I mainly needed was a business plan to back up my projections over the next few years of what I will be earning, any qualifications that will be relevant to it. So I have my CELTA qualification. That was it really. That's all I needed was my CELTA qualification and my business plan.
Within the business plan, you'd show your projections, but then that you understood the tax as well. So it's not just projection of, I'm going to earn, £40,000 a year. That needed to be broken down into, right, so I'm going to get this much a year, but I'm going to pay this much in tax, this much. So my actual net monthly income is going to be this much, which because we got married and our visas were getting looked at jointly, our income, so on Nathan's business plan, there was a page on there that demonstrated our joint financial security. So it had Nathan's income per month plus my pension per month gives us this much, which fortunately exceeded the SMIC, easily and clear and readable to whoever was doing it, that actually we're in a really good position that we shouldn't be sponging off the state. And I think that's all that really that bothered about.
Yeah, and I had like tons of supporting documentation. They didn't take anything, just the business plan.
Yeah.
I had to force them my medical insurance because actually I don't think you need as professional liberal. You actually needed the medical insurance.
But we didn't know it at the time.
No.
So we paid €1,100 for Nathan for no reason.
But I'll use it. They took my CELTA certificate. That was it, and then the business plan, and I also handed over like a copy of the sale of the house to prove where I was going to be living.
Yeah, they both took that off us actually.
Yeah, they do need that. That is something they will need.
Okay, my checklist. So this will be dependent on personal circumstances. Each case is completely different. As I was going to be working out in France as an online English teacher, also offering some in face-to-face classes, I needed to apply for the Profession Libérale visa. I'm not setting up a small company, which would be a micro-entrepreneur. I needed to print out the application form. I needed my solid business plan, which also includes a 3-year financial forecast, copy of my visa photos, photocopies of passport and marriage certificate, again, proof of residence, the acte de vente, the contrat de fourniture d'électricité, and I need a copy of my qualification certificate with 3 months worth of bank statements, and that is all.
You do need a passport in date for at least 6 months past your 12-month point, and that was it really, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You don't need to duplicate everything like we read on the internet. We went with 2 folders, one of original, ones with all photocopies. Well, in fact, that's a lie actually. Any certificates or anything, you can just give them photocopies, can't you?
Yeah.
You can keep the originals. But we went there with 2 great big folders each, didn't we? All the original documents, the next one all photocopied. We probably came back with 90% of everything we took.
Yes, it was annoying, but at least we were over-prepared.
Well over-prepared.
And you won't believe that some people didn't even realise you had to hand over your passport.
No, I was stood next to someone and she's like, right, here's your passport. I was like, well, I'm off on holiday next week. She said, well, you can't get a visa. Thickos, aren't they?
Can't say that. In order to get our visas, once we hit apply, submit, we were then ready to book our place at the visa contact centre. So we decided to choose Manchester because it was closer for us. You get up to the first set of stairs and then you'll come to what looks like a security airport metal detector. You go through and you give them your application. They then give you a number. And it's a little bit like Argos. You sit there and you wait on the screen till your number comes up. And once you go up, you'll go to the counter and you'll speak to the member of staff and hand over all your documents. They just check to make sure you've got all the relevant things you need for the visa, but what they won't do is proof it. You'll also have your biometrics done, so you'll have your fingerprints scanned, etc. What they'll do is they'll then send it off to the French consulate, and then off you toodle once you've finished, and that's it. Happens very, very quick. So in terms of timings, it's quite loose really as to what I expect, but when they're there, they do advise you it can take around 15 working days to receive your visa back in the post. However, we waited a week, and the news we got was